LLG. What's going on, gang? Hey, yo. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. We are here because we want you to have the success in your health, just like you're having in other areas of your life. We want you to show up for those things that are so important, your family, your friends, and those dreams that you've been pouring into. You don't need superhuman strength. What you need is a strategy you can trust. You need a plan you can follow, and you need encouragement, support, and the determination to keep showing up every single time. And guess what? You've shown up today for another time for our pop up, and I welcome you, whatever platform you're joining us from, and from wherever you are watching this, whatever city, town, country, whatever village, wherever you are. Welcome for coming through and hanging out with us. Special shout out to our accelerator members. Glad that you guys are out there. So we are beginning our fast for this week. And that's what this show is all about. Pop up. You get to see what I'm going to eat as my last meal as we get into this week's fast. And we'll talk a little bit about fasting and do a little check-in with you to see where you are as we move into this amazing process. Okay. So this week we're talking about balance, and what an amazing concept to discuss actually as we're dealing with our food, because we'll talk a little bit about making sure that the food that we're eating is balanced and able to take us through the fast itself. Okay. If you've not already done so, make sure that you are getting on the channel. Make sure you are walking through the Start Here videos, as those videos are designed to help you follow the path to better health. That's what it is designed to do. We've taken everything else off the channel, and that's the playlist that you will see along with this week's videos, those videos that are going on this week. Now, all the other things are on the channel as well, but they are not on the main page. So if you're watching a video and you say, hey, he talked about whatever concept, you can then go into the library on my channel and you can pull that video up to watch it. Right now, we are in the middle of the Blueprint series. That's the series we're on. We're on week number 9, and we're talking about balance. How do we implement all the things that we've been talking about in the health action plan without becoming overwhelmed and without us doing something intensely for a while, but then falling off? Ultimately, the goal is, how do we make sure that we are successful in what we're doing so we can do it over the long haul? And one of the things that we've been using as part of that is our fasting. And that's what we're going to jump in and talk about here right now as we get into that. So fasting, amazing process. The reason we fast is because it is a part of our health action plan. It is one of those pillars. Remember, there are several pillars that we have, and we can group them into probably 3 different components. 1 has to do with movement. 2 has to do with our food and how we are fueling the body. And then the next has to do with our recovery and our mental mastery and those things that we do to replenish and rejuvenate ourselves. All of those are tied together with structure and planning, right? So basically 3 different segments. And you've heard me ask you, and we've talked about in different shows, hey, when you're thinking about your health action plan, as you're thinking about your week, what you want to do is what are you going to do? What is one non-negotiable when it comes to movement? What's a non-negotiable as it comes to fueling and food? And what's a non-negotiable when it comes to our recovery and pouring into ourselves? And so you want to begin thinking through that. And that's the whole idea of the inner design loop that we've been talking about on the series. But right now we're talking about fasting. And fasting is a tool that fits in the health action plan that we use to begin writing our metabolism. Remember, dysfunctional metabolism is at the heart of a lot of our chronic diseases, those illnesses that people suffer from that seem to have a mind of their own. Anything from high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, metabolic syndrome, polycystic ovarian syndrome, prediabetes, and of course, ultimately, the prototypic metabolic disease is diabetes itself. And we are even now beginning to understand that high blood sugars, they don't just affect the stuff that we've been talking about, but it also begins to affect the mind. And so you've heard this phrase that everybody's throwing around now called type 3 diabetes, which is what is being used as a term for Alzheimer's, right? So all of those are reasons why we fast, because fasting has an amazing ability to touch a lot of the dysfunctions that we find within the metabolism. And if we can correct those, then we are setting ourselves up for the best possibility of metabolic and success and long life. So that's why fasting shows up. And if we're going to use a tool, fasting is a tool. If we're going to use a tool, we want to know, how do we use that tool as best as possible? How do we get the maximum benefit? And we want to ask that question, are we getting the benefits? Are we getting the results that we expect to see? Right? So those are all the things that we want to do. And so as we move through our week in fasting, we talk about those different stages. Here, we're going to talk about what I'm eating for the first time or the last time before we get into the fast. As we do our check-ins, we'll talk about the transition zone on Tuesday. That's where motivation starts to wane and the metabolism in the body picks up. Then we'll talk about the adaptation zone, which is where the metabolism is now fully engaged and your body realizes now that, hey, this is what we do now. This is how we roll. This is not a stress. This is not starvation. This is something that's happening, and we do this on a regular basis. So now I can divert my mind, I can divert my energies into actually improving as opposed to responding, thinking, okay, he's not eating, she's not eating, oh, stress, 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 danger, danger, danger. The body says, okay, this is how we roll now. I understand what's going on. And the body begins to do what it needs to do in terms of repairing. And that's the ultimate process right there when we begin to see the repair. And then at the end of the week on Friday, we do our complete review of fasting, how to prepare for the fast, how to get through the fast successfully, and then how to end the fast and the things that we eat. And if you come by, you will get to see what I eat for the first time at the end of the fast. So that's the process that we're going through. That's where we are right now. So let's go ahead and let's hop in and we'll take a look and see what I'm eating as my last meal. And as you know, I start my fast after my meeting that we have here at the office, because based on whatever they bring in, that's where I start with that as my base, and then I create a meal for the fast, right? The last meal before the fast. And the reason I do that, because I've had a lot of people say to me, hey, I couldn't stay on my meal plan. I couldn't eat the way I thought I was going to eat or the way I'm used to eating because I was traveling, I was staying with somebody, I was at a hotel, they had nothing there I can eat. And I want to show you that, yeah, a lot of that is thought process that we have been taught. But if you have a default meal in your mind, you can begin taking components of all the things that are around you, and those will begin making up what you eat as your last meal. And if you are doing a good job of your eating in your non-fasting window, then your body gives you grace sometimes for the things that you're eating. So let's go ahead. And this was brought in from this is what our team had for lunch today. So let me go ahead and I'm going to pull that up so we can begin taking a look at it. Let's do this one. Okay, so this was brought in as our meal, and this is my meal. And in fact, I did not do anything differently to this meal. Okay, I usually go down to the cafeteria to get something different, and I decided today I was going to stick with where we are because it was actually, this is a pretty good representation of the things that I want. So what I'm going to get rid of is I'm going to get rid of the pita bread, which is right here, and move that off to the side. And let me move the dressing for a minute so we can talk about the other components of this. Get that off of there. And then the other thing I want to get off of, not because it's not good in this space, but because I'm getting ready to see some patients here in a little while. So I'm going to get rid of those onions. Now, if I were at home, guess what? Yeah, those onions would be devoured. In fact, they add such a delicious flavor, such an amazing flavor to the meal. I'm almost weary of getting rid of it. Let's do this. There we go. Okay. So I'm not, yeah, there's another piece right there. So that I'm not going to try to get rid of all of them. I mean, as many as I can. If I see them, we'll do that. Okay. So this is the meal, and let me open this. So this is the protein that we have. So I'm gonna do something else here really quickly. I'm gonna move this back a little bit. I'm gonna grab a plate and go ahead and open this up. And this is some lamb that came with the meal. Okay, so that's my protein that I have right now. So let's bring this salad back. Of course, now that I did that, I see some more onions. Let's get rid of those. Okay, so let's walk through this. So when we talk about eating, and I'm going to pull up a graphic here really quickly. So we're talking about balanced bites. Okay, so balanced bites, and this is what we want to think about when we're putting our meal together. So whole foods, minimized processing, no added sugar, lean protein, healthy fats, starchy and non-starchy vegetables, of course, leaning more towards the non-starchy vegetables, tasty and flavorful, and we want it to be portion controlled. So as we're thinking about eating, this is the concept that I want you to have. Notice this is not a list of foods. This is not a list of do's and don'ts. This is not a menu. This is just your eating concept when it comes to food. Okay, let's get rid of that. And so now let's go ahead and let's walk through this. And so whole foods and pretty much everything that you see there is whole foods. Of course, there's some cheese there, so that's not whole foods. Minimized processing. There are some processed components like dried tomatoes are there. Cheese is processed. What else? There's supposed to be a light dressing on this, and if I decide to eat the dressing that came with it, of course that would be processed as well. Okay, lean protein. So I've got my lamb. Let's go ahead and put that up here, and let's see. Of course, I did not bring my knife yet. I think it's over there somewhere. Okay, so here is the So this is the meal. So I've got my lean protein, healthy fats, and those healthy fats, of course, will be a component of. I've got some cheese in there, and of course, the lamb has some fat in it, but not a lot. We've got the starchy and non-starchy vegetables, and in this, of course, there are no starchy vegetables. Most of what we have, we've got lettuce, we've got some tomatoes, we've got the dried tomatoes, but we also have some fresh tomatoes there. We've got garbanzo beans, and by the way, the garbanzo beans also will have some protein in it. The onions, of course, I took off. What else do we have under there? This one doesn't have any cucumber. Usually it does. And this is actually this is a Mediterranean salad, by the way. So if you are interested then this is a Mediterranean salad. Here's another piece of onion. That's okay. I'll leave that in. Lean protein, healthy fats, starchy, non-starchy vegetables, portion control. And this is probably, if I were to make a portion, probably right about here is where I would stop. So this part would be a portion, and tasty and flavorful. Now, I've not eaten it yet, but I am anticipating that this joint is going to be good, so good, y'all, right? So we are anticipating that. So let me get myself back on the screen. There we go. Oh, well, I put myself, but then I took myself off. There we go. And then I'm going to change again because I want you guys to see both of us. There we are. All right, so that's the meal. And so this meal was actually put together, not specifically constructed from me at home and brought here. I, based on what was around me, created this meal. And so I took out the things that were obvious, right? So I took off the pita bread, I took off the dressing, and I think I'm going to put a little bit of that dressing on here. I could have gone downstairs and started with a base salad. And as you know, I will go down there. I'll get some lettuce, I'll get tomatoes, I'll get cucumbers, I'll get some cheese, and that really starts the base. And then I will add whatever is here. So from this, I could have gotten the salad from downstairs or got the base of a salad from downstairs and then put the protein that's here on that salad. But I decided not to do that because I wanted you to see that wherever you are, if you have your default meal in mind, you can construct a meal. Now, I always tell people that that meal is going to be as close as possible to what your ideal is. Now, there are times when you will construct a meal and there are components of it that are not, quote unquote, part of balanced bites. For example, you may go somewhere and you're putting this meal together, and the protein that they have there is not whole. Maybe it's a hot dog, right? Maybe it's a hamburger. You see me eat hamburger patties before. But the idea there is not perfection. And that is part of what we are talking about this week as well um, as we talk about balance. It is not perfection. It is how do we do things that are working together. We want to decrease the friction in our systems, because if we can do that, then we're more likely to continue with those systems. If there continues to be friction, continues to be, your fasting schedule is at odds with your family, and your exercise is at odds with work, then guess what? The things that are urgent, and urgent family and work, are going to outshadow the things that are you think are important. So we said it again. The things that are urgent are going to overshadow the things that are important. So your work is going to overshadow your desire to take care of yourself if they're at odds. Your family is going to overshadow your desire to fast because they're at odds. And we sometimes construct that um, subconsciously, right? So we don't decide, hey, we're going to do this to cause odds, but we do it and it causes a problem because we may not be thinking in that way. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to jump in here and start eating some of this. And the reason that I eat, let's see, trying so my hand is not all the way on the camera. The reason I start with a salad is that the salad gives me bulk. The salad helps me. Oh yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this over here and I'm going to cut it up and then bring it back into the salad. That way I'm not having my hand all in the camera. But yeah, the salad gives me bulk. The salad the fiber there will keep me fuller longer as I move through the fast. And when that happens, I'm not as um, those cravings that will come, and by the way, they will come, those cravings will not be as problematic because it'll blunt the cravings. Also, any carbs that I eat, and earlier I did eat some carbs, by the way. Any carbs that I eat will the absorption will be blunted. So let's go ahead and let's get this back in onto the salad. I did a rough cut, but that's okay. Let's turn it this way. Okay. And so that's the reason I start with a salad. Plus, salads are good. And I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about good for you. I'm talking they're good. They taste good. Plus, I love all the flavors. The flavors, the textures. Garbanzo beans, the lettuce. I've got the dried, the tomatoes, the feta cheese. Right. So all that's so good. So if you are fasting with us this week, all those who are fasting this week, I want you to put in the chat, yes. Okay, one of our words. So yes. And the yes simply means I'm fasting. It doesn't tell me how. We're not concerned right now about how long you're fasting, but are you fasting this week? In fact, some of our community members who are in the international community started their fast yesterday, right? Because they're ahead of us. And so in our community meetup, or our after the show meetup last night after our show, one of our community members had already started fasting. Delicious. So this is our meal for today. This is our last meal as we get into the fast, as we are righting our metabolism. Remember, this is the reason that we're doing what we're doing. All right. So let's go ahead, and I do want to say that I'm excited. Let me bring myself back up here. We'll pull this off to the side. I'm excited when I get to hang out with you. I'm excited to be in the space, to see the benefits that you're getting in your health, to see the benefits that are showing up in my health as well. Because this is, after all, what it's about. It's about us working together, about us supporting each other as we're making the changes and making the decisions to be healthy. It's one thing to say, hey, I'm going to be healthy, and to have it in the mind and try something, and we keep trying this and that, and it's not working. We're not getting any traction. We don't want that to be the case. If you're going to put the time in, if you're going to put the effort in, we want, even if you're not doing 100 things, which we don't want you to do 100 things, by the way, even if you're doing a simple thing, we want, when you do the next thing, for it to be added to what you're already doing. In other words, we want the benefit to grow, not that, oh my goodness, that didn't work, so I'm going to scrap that, and essentially I'm starting all over. We don't want start overs. We want building. And that's why the Limitless Living Method says that I'm showing up with my best self, my best health, and my best plans. So I don't have to go figure out a plan. I don't have to go figure out a different person. I don't have to go fix myself to come. I just show up with what I have. And based on what I have, we begin to refine, we begin to adjust, we begin to adapt. And as we do that, we're growing and getting better and better and better. And that's ultimately the goal. That's what the Limitless Living Method says, that we are showing up with our best self. We're not allowing anything from outside or inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do to be successful and to be healthy. Anyway, y'all, we will be back tomorrow as we do our pop-up at 24 hours. And then we'll have our show tomorrow night at 33 hours, Dwain Woode MD Live. That's at 9 p.m. Central Time as we move through the rest of the week. Make sure you come back. Make sure you join us, and so we can support each other as we move through this amazing space of being healthy and taking care of ourselves. So this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. I want you to have success in your health, just like you're having success in other areas of your life. So you can show up for the family, the friends, the community, those dreams that you're pouring into. You don't need superhuman strength. What you need is a strategy you can trust. You need a plan you can follow, and you need the encouragement, the determination, and the support to keep showing up. We'll see you as we move through the rest of the week. All right, everybody, have a great one. Bye-bye.